Prescott entering the final year of his deal. Reports say, quote, the conversations contractually have been passive or non-existent. No better voice to talk about the Dallas Cowboys than the voice on the far end, Dave Helman. Not you, LeSean McCoy. Put your hand down.
My bad.
Dave Helman spent 15 years roughly covering the Dallas Cowboys. You know more about the Cowboys than anybody on national television. I can confidently say that. So, viewers, you are in for a treat.
Hear that? Yeah.
Dave.
I might look stuffy, but let's go. Good.
Dave, will Dak Prescott make the Cowboys regret not extending him? Because that's where we are right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would because he's already done it. That's the cool thing. Like, when you've got a relationship that's gone as long as Dak and the Cowboys, we have previous history that we can refer to. Dak has already done this. The Cowboys played the wait-and-see game with him. They tagged him. They weren't convinced. $40 million. It's crazy how cyclical this all is. $40 million, that sounds like too much money. Now it's 60, because they already paid him 40 because they played the wait-and-see game. And the crazy thing to me that I want everybody to remember, and I've said it before on this show, Dak had the worst thing that could possibly happen to him happen the last time he got into this situation. He got hurt 5.5 games into the season, shredded his leg, the type of injury where you're worried about how well he's going to recover. And what happened, guys?
Got paid.
He got paid, and he won the deal to a crazy degree. I'm going to make it my goal to always talk about that. He got the $40 million. He got the $160 million deal. And then on top of that, he got a no-trade clause and a no-tag clause, which is why we're in this situation right now where the contract doesn't end until March, but we're here in May, and it feels like a five-alarm fire. Like, we got to get this guy paid. Because if they don't before the season starts, he's probably gone. So do I trust Dak to do that again? Coming off of an all-pro season? Coming off of the first time in his career where he was part of the MVP conversation? He's just now turning 31? Yeah, I absolutely expect that he will make them regret that. Because he's either going to leave or he's going to be just as expensive as we already thought, if not more. Those are the two places I see this going.
Dave, I think it's a myth that the Cowboys got it wrong the first time. I think it's a myth, 2-5. I think it's a myth, Joy Taylor, because I was thinking about it, and I know the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Niners, those are probably the three teams I know best, inside, outside the locker room, et cetera, in large part because, Dave, you and I worked for the Cowboys in 2016 when Dak was there. Reflecting on it this morning, there was not a player in my mind that the Cowboys could not sign because they made the mistake of paying Dak Prescott too late. The notable losses in the last 6 years that the Dallas Cowboys have had was Amari Cooper. Dave, you've been on record very publicly and to me privately saying that wasn't a money issue. The Cowboys were able to retain Zach Martin, able to retain Tyron Smith, able to retain DeMarcus Lawrence. They're going to be able to retain, they paid Trayvon Diggs $100 million. They're going to pay Micah. They're going to pay CD. There is not a player that the Cowboys have lost, because keep in mind, if you know anything about the Cowboys or Jerry Jones, they don't make splash free agency signings. There's not a player the Cowboys lost out on by not paying Dak Prescott earlier. So though we could argue that they should have paid him sooner, I don't think they regretted it then. Shady, I don't think they'll regret it now, because they didn't lose anything by paying him later. They laid in with all pros this year, laid in with all pros 2 years ago. I don't think they'll regret not extending him.
What's the regret, though? Let's be serious here. So when we talked about this a while ago about what the Cowboys paid Dak Prescott, and everybody was like, of course, no-brainer. And I'm like, why would you pay him? He does the same thing every year. This year, this was a little better at it. It's a little better in a regular season, right? But the postseason came, and he showed up again. Picks, or more picks. That's what he does. So when you ask the guy or owner to write that check, it's like writing a check to have a better team, writing a check to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. With this guy, he doesn't present that. So it's like, what are we regretting? Tony Romo, who I think is a better quarterback. Do you agree, Dave? You think
Dak?
Yeah.
At this point, I think it's very even, honestly. I don't think
okay, cool.
One over the other.
Yep, thank you. Okay. So let's say it's even. Let's just say it's even, though, right? They didn't regret that. I think Tony Romo's better. I think Tony Romo had this team with these players on offense and defense, they would be a lot better.
Tony Romo had several very, very good teams.
He had 9 All-Pros?
He didn't have 9 All-Pros.
I know he didn't. That's why I'm setting him up. But anyway, if he had his team...
Best record in franchise history.
They'll be better. So my thing is, like, when you say regret, what are we regretting? We've seen this happen before with a better quarterback. Listen, when I look at the Cowboys, it's really embarrassing. They can't really win. You have everything you need. What else do you need? I hate when they say he needs more. So, yes, they won't regret it. The same thing you expect for Dak Prescott every year is the same thing. Have a great regular season, Cowboy fans, but it's America's team. America's team ain't a team that does good in the regular season. True. That's not why they were built. That's how they were made. When Jerry Jones got his name and all his reputation, because they was winning championships on championships, Dave Helman.
Yes. Talk to Dave.
But if you want to be stuck on this Dak Prescott train, right, Be my guest.
I'm not stuck anywhere.
No,
They're the ones that have to pay the guy.
you are. No, you are. You are.
Joy Taylor, what say you? Will Dak Prescott make the Cowboys regret not extending him?
I think it's too soon to tell that they're not going to extend him. It is May. I have a sneaky suspicion that just, even though the reports say that they're not talking about it now, that it doesn't mean that they're not going to eventually talk about it. They have to pay CeeDee. They have to play Micah, not immediately, but those are guys that are going to get paid,
right, better
and
players,
they're coming down the pipeline like they need to be paid. So the way that I look at it is this. Dak has never been somebody who's disrupted the locker room with contract talks. It's always been the contract talks around him that have been disruptive. I mean, we talked about Dak's contract that year every single day, every day. Should he get paid? He's not going to get paid. Should he get paid? He got paid. Yeah. It was the end of the story, and he was, of course, going to get paid because of what he had done during the regular season. This is a little bit different because this isn't Dak's first deal. He is in a unique position where he could play this year without getting the extension, hit the market, and he will make top-of-the-market money. The question is, do you want to play on an expiring deal? Do you want to risk that as a player? Obviously, if he stays healthy and plays the way he played this year, he will make a lot of money wherever he goes, whether he stays with the Cowboys or goes somewhere else. We know that. The quarterback market is very demanding. Someone will pay him. Kirk Cousins just got $180 million. Dak has a better resume than Kirk Cousins. So I'm a bit torn, but that's why I also have this suspicion that the deal will eventually get done. Because what's next for the Cowboys? I hear you, Shady. I mean, they are the kings of the regular season. That is what they do. Okay, they're going to win some regular season games with style, with pizzazz. And they're going to overplay their hand to get to the postseason and disappoint. That's how it goes every single year.
How's it been going?
But you could argue that getting to the postseason is the first step to getting to the Super Bowl. Now, I think that argument only lasts for a few years. Once you're constantly in the postseason and it's expected that you be in the postseason, not just because of your play, but because of the talent of the team, then you need to level up. You should be progressing in your experience in the postseason, which is why I'm with Shady, where I don't really see there's a lot of leverage on either side. If you're the Cowboys, at what point do you say, okay, we've seen enough of this, we're ready to try something different? If you're Dak, I'm tired of being put in the situation as being the martyr for this team. I want to go try my hand somewhere else. I'm going to make money this year. The Cowboys have to pay him this year. They have their quarterback for this year. I just feel like, in the end, they'll probably end up giving him the extension.
I don't be tripping here, but did Jerry Jones come out and say, hey, right now, we're not worried about signing him right now?
It wasn't
something like that,
Jerry.
though, right?
It was Cowboys personnel who
handles the contracts.
Okay, Will McClay and Stephen Jones. I mean,
what'd he say?
The Cowboys are saying that it's a priority to sign Dak, and they think they're going to get it done. Like, as recently as Monday, that's what you're hearing from the Cowboys is like, we know this needs to happen. We want to do it. We think Dak can win a championship.
But what we're hearing from Dak, however, is contract talks have yet to begin.
Exactly.
So,
but I thought like a couple, maybe
talk is cheap, in other words.
A month ago or so, Jerry came out and was like, hey, because remember, it was like a speculation if they're going to get his contract done. And he came out and said, well, no, we're not doing that right now.
It was right before the draft. Jerry came out and essentially alluded to the fact that it's not happening right now. It's not imminent. It's not happening right now. Okay. Now, the question, though, Joy, you bring up a good point. I'll take it a step further, though. I don't know if Dak should want to sign with the Dallas Cowboys right here, right now. Because we always talk about players don't want to get into the last year of their deal. But they don't want to get into the last year of their deal because they want the future of the guarantee present and locked in. But at the point in which you already are on the last year of your deal, there's no better time to make the most money than hitting free agency. Free agency is a godsend for players. Oftentimes, though, players just can't get to free agency. Ask the man to my right, LeSean McCoy. Philadelphia Eagles, Buffalo Bills are not going to let you get to free agency because they don't want you to have the possibility of walking. But Dak is now already at free agency, Dave Helman. He's 1 year away. About 9-10 months away from free agency. I think if I'm Dak Prescott, play it out. Because you said Dak had the worst thing that could happen. And what happened? He became the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Joy brought up Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins tore an Achilles at 8 years older than Dak when Dak broke his leg, and Kirk Cousins became one of the highest paid players in the NFL. So even if Dak Prescott does have a realistically grueling injury, even if he does have one of those, which is hard-pressed for me to believe because Dak is a relatively healthy quarterback, even if that does happen, he's still going to get paid. If he does what he usually does, 35 touchdowns, 10 picks, win 12 games, he going to get stupid paid. I don't think, Dave, that Dak should even want to sign with the Cowboys.
It just depends on the terms. Dak should want to sign in Dallas at his price and his agent's price, which Todd France, CAA, they do a fantastic job of getting top dollar for their guys. If the Cowboys cave, I'll call it caving, because after all this back and forth, I think that's what it would be. If Dak gets $60 million a year. We're talking about a $250 million contract, the vast majority of it guaranteed. Absolutely, he should want to sign that because he knows the Cowboys can win. Regular season at least. I mean, 36 regular season wins.
Just make sure you say that part. That's all.
We can start a separate conversation about how many quarterbacks have a definitively better playoff track record than Dak. I know it's more than one, but it's not a lot. And my point is, going back to what Joy said, not like 36 regular season wins and not good enough in the playoffs is still better than 90.
But here's what we know.
Guys.
The Cowboys aren't going to give Dak what he wants because they never have.
If they are, he should sign it because being able to win 12 games a year and be the face of the most visible franchise with the most endorsement deals is great. Yeah. If they are willing to pay him what he wants, he should be willing to sign. If it's anything less than that, he should be willing to hit the market, absolutely, because at this point, I hate to say disrespect because, again, we're still talking about a guy making $40 million a year, but very few teams put their quarterback through this process the way the Cowboys like to do. Everybody else. How much?
Why are you
signing Shady?
Like, I hate this whole, like, Zach's, he's being a victim here. Like, no, bro. We pay you money because we want you to win Super Bowls.
Quarterbacks,
do well in the playoffs.
Quarterbacks that have done less have had to deal with less than Dak Prescott.
But he keeps, this is Dallas Cowboys. This is not the Atlanta Falcons. It's not these other teams, right? They're just happy to be a part of it. It's not that. It's the Dallas Cowboys. It's the biggest brand in football. So we always talk about them every week. Why? Because they're the biggest brand in football. That's what they are. So let's treat them as such. When you talk about all these other quarterbacks that's not doing as much as Dak in the playoffs, well, first of all, every year he does good enough to go to the playoffs. So he's going to be in there more than other quarterbacks. That's how it works. He goes there, might win the first one, can't win the second one. So it's like, why am I paying you so much money? Listen, I don't know how they work, but this is how I work. If I'm paying people for a job, I want the job at the best.
Do the job.
Right? At the best. And if you can't give me that, then I can't pay you at the best. The reason why these other guys make all this money, like the top dudes like Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens and all that, I won't even go to Josh Allen. Let's say Patrick Mahomes.
I wouldn't.
Because I know he's going to give me back, right? If I put a guy like Josh Allen on the Cowboys, on the players, you know you might get a championship, 1, 2, maybe 3. Am I tripping? But Dak Prescott, I don't see that. I just can't see him going to any other team winning because he can't win with the Cowboys. You have the best players. You got 9 All-Pros, Dave.
I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the market isn't dictated by that. Like, again.
I'm saying what it is.
The number, like, I would put, how many guys can we, again, definitively say have been, like, yes, they have done so much more in the playoffs than Dak Prescott. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes speaks for himself. Obviously, Joe Burrow, the fact that he got his team to a Super Bowl. If you want to throw in Matt Stafford, I'll even say Jalen Hurts just because he got his team to a Super Bowl. We won't bring up what happened the year after that because this is a long-term game. My point is there's less than 10 quarterbacks in the world who have done more than Dak Prescott, and that is why you can demand this type of salary. And at the end of the day, your playoff wins and losses doesn't factor that much into it.
I get you, right? So since you give me scenarios, right? Look at Matthew Stafford, since you brought his name up, right? You put him in a solid situation, a better team, better coaching, you see what he brings you.
Sure.
So my thing is, as a Cowboys, like if there's other quarterbacks, you're talking about quarterbacks, I can name a lot of quarterbacks. You put them on a Cowboys team, the Cowboys roster, they will win championships.
But then, Joy, it brings back to the full point then. Either answer, should Dak want to sign with the Cowboys or should the Cowboys want to sign Dak based upon what Shady's saying? Because Shady does bring up a lot of really good and valid points.
I mean, it matters what either of these sides want. Because you would understand a player wanting to have more years on their deal because this is a violent sport. And while we are, casually saying even one of the worst injuries can still allow you to get paid. Kirk Cousins is how many years older than Dak? 8 years older?
Yeah, he's 35
and
now.
is coming off of an Achilles injury and just got paid. Now, he's not being paid the most out of everyone, but he's still got a great deal coming off of an Achilles injury, which is considered to be the worst outside of something catastrophic, obviously. So there are scenarios where he would still get paid even if he did get injured, but obviously players everyone always wants more years on their contract. They want a long-term deal. That's what players want. But you could argue that Dak would be interested in hitting the market because he'll get paid, he'll get another opportunity somewhere else. It all depends on what he wants and what the Cowboys want. The Cowboys want to win a Super Bowl. Okay, well, you could argue that Dak gives you a chance to win a Super Bowl because he puts you in the postseason every year. You could argue that Dak does not give you a chance to win the Super Bowl because he loses early in the postseason every single year. So what is the money worth when it comes to that when you've done this time and time again? I would not want to be in the position that the Cowboys are in, honestly, because I think Dak is good enough to get you to the dance, But
What
he
dance?
is not, huh?
The playoffs, the dance, or the Super Bowl, the dance?
The playoffs are the
playing against
dance.
No, that's not.
that's not the dance.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We call the playoffs a dance.
We
He's
call
good
these.
enough. He's good.
What are we talking about here?
No.
The dance is the tournament.
He's good enough to get you into the postseason. Let me not distract everyone.
Lots of people go to the dance.
I'm saying we call the Super Bowl the dance. That's why I had to clarify.
Everyone's invited to the dance. There's only one winner, though. Only one person gets the crown. I completely derailed us. I apologize. He's good enough to get you to the postseason, but he doesn't do anything in the postseason.
Correct.
Right.
So for some teams, that would be good enough to get to the postseason because they haven't been there. So just getting to the postseason is a big deal. And maybe in the beginning of your career, just getting to the postseason is a big deal.
Yeah.
But that's not the position. They're in this weird no man's land of do we move on from Dak Prescott to try and improve, which has the risk of you dropping off the face of the planet because you can't find a replacement.
That part.
Or do we stick with Dak and continue to be in the same position and maybe we break through? And from Dak's perspective, he's going to get paid no matter what.
Sure.
It's just a matter of is he going to risk not having a long-term deal?
I think both people are in a really good situation.
I agree.
Because I think Dak's going to get paid no matter what. And Dave, where I would agree with you, and actually I have the slight advantage because I was born and raised in Dallas, when the Cowboys dropped off the face of the earth, Quincy Carter, Vinny Testaverde, not Chad Henne. There's another dude who started with a C, a random arbitrary name that had to get started the game.
Quite a few
number 7.
between Aikman and Romo.
When they dropped off the face of the earth, it was about a 3-year drop-off. And then Romo. It was kind of like it was a 3-year drop-off, and then it was like, oh, wait, there was one 10-win season in there, I believe, with Parcells, and then came Romo, and then came Dak. I don't think that dropping off of the face of the earth, Dave, I don't think Jerry's worried about that. Thus, you can't commit to Dak because you know he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. I think the Cowboys are in a great situation. I think Dak's in a great situation. Make Dak play it out.
Let me ask this one more thing, right? Or one more point. So if you got the 9 All-Pros, one of the best rosters in football, would you say top 3 rosters in football?
Yeah, last year was.
Okay, that's when he played. So a top 3 roster. You got this quarterback you paying all this money to, and he can't win playoff games, right? When one lost, on the line, he lost the first one. I'm sorry, I forgot. Anyway, and he can't win a championship, can't even win playoff games, right? So my thing is, why are you gonna keep paying him all this money? What are you expecting to get?
That's a great question.
You're gonna be in this hole no matter what you do. Instead of, you know what, let's move off of this situation. This relationship is not working. Listen, I tell my homeboys, I love her, hopefully she's gonna turn around. And it don't happen, Joey Taylor, it don't happen. Why stick with her?
Acho did a really
Counts is not working. Right? It ain't working.
Acho does a wonderful job of glossing over things. Like that, you're not wrong that they fell off the face of the earth for like 3 or 4 years.
About 3 to 4 years.
You know who the last quarterback to take the Cowboys to the playoffs in back-to-back years before Dak Prescott was? It was Aikman when they were winning Super Bowls. Romo never engineered back-to-back playoff appearances. I know Dak's not good enough when they get to the postseason.
Oh, you know that?
To go back to Joy's point, the alternative can be so much worse than stacking 12-win seasons and being disappointed. My only advice to the Cowboys is be careful what you wish for. I would love to see it. It would be a master stroke if they could improve from All-Pro and 36 wins in 3 years. But I'll go back to the point. It's incredibly hard to do. Are you going to hit on the next Mahomes or Stroud in the draft?
Don't you? I would even prefer more volatility. The Cowboys are the only team in the history of football to have 36 wins in 3 years and no conference championship appearances. I would prefer more volatility. Give me a Super Bowl and give me a 4-win season. Like, give me a
Emmanuel Acho, you are from Dallas, Texas. Do you think Jerry Jones is going to stand for that?
No, but I think
relevancy.
Do not give me a 4-win season.
Jerry Jones does not ever want to be irrelevant.
Here's where I push back. Where I think the Cowboys are in danger is if Dak has another season like this and he's All-Pro again or close to that, he's going to demand the top of the market. And then if the Cowboys end up wanting to keep him, they're going to have to pay way more than they would if they have just extended him, which is dangerous. But here's the problem. The Cowboys aren't going to win 4 games. Their roster is too good.
Correct.
Like there's names out there that could win, maybe not 12 games, but there's not going to be a drop to 4. Like the quarterback play in the NFL, like there's some bad quarterbacks. But there's like some just okay quarterbacks that could win you 9,
Correct.
8 to 11 games with this roster, I believe. They're not everywhere, but they could figure out a way to get a guy in there to win some games.
Dak wound up in Dallas after a 4-win season.
And the roster thing also. So once you pay this quarterback all this money, right, that roster ain't going to be the same. You're not going to have the top 3 roster like you used to having.
Well, that's what they're already doing anyway.
But
they're blaming it on Dak.
What I'm saying is if you have this great roster, right, this quarterback, and he can't win with this roster, okay, so you pay him more money. Now the roster's not going to be as good. Then what they're going to look like? That's my only concern. You can't win with this great roster, but you're going to pay this quarterback more money. Then the roster's going to be not as good. That means you really can't win now. You get what I'm saying?
The world we're in right now.
Yeah, so
that's
don't
what
sign.
happens
You
when
can't
you let
sign
Tyron
him.
Smith,
You
Tony
know what's going
Pollard
to happen.
all walk away.
It's crazy. Like,
I can't wait
wish
to
I
see
played
how
the team.
No, so this will be fascinating to watch unfold. We'll start talking about another quarterback.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.